Welcome to the Energetically You podcast, where we will be talking about healthy habits, abundant mindset, and optimal wellness. I'm your host, Megan Swan, creator of the Sustainable Integrated Wellness Approach. At 30, I sold everything and went on my own eat, pray, love journey, if you will. And now, at 41, I'm still on my first stop here in Mexico, loving life and feeling more energy than ever before. This podcast is for ambitious women who are looking to level up their energy so that they feel happier and more productive throughout their day in all of their projects and passions. Inside, we are going to be talking about ways to truly tune in to our minds and bodies in new ways to leverage our natural energy sources. So let's dive in. So excited for my interview today with my new friend, Lena Andersson. She is a spiritual mindset coach. She kind of came to this. She's been a life coach for a decade plus, but she's sort of doubled down on stress when she personally hit mental and physical burnout in the last year or so. And her zone of genius is bringing the spiritual tools into play when talking burnout, recovery, prevention, and all the things. So I am so excited to get to know her even better. We've been chatting back and forth on Instagram for a month or so, and she is one of the sweetest souls. Fittingly, her IG handle is I am in soul flow. Lena, welcome. It's evening there where you are in the world, correct?
Yes, I'm living in south of Sweden. Thank you so much for having me, Megan. I'm super excited and honored to be here and talk about burnout and the afterlife of that, for sure. Going to be good.
Yeah, and I love how much you focus openly on the spiritual tools that you incorporate. So why don't you paint us the picture a little bit of what did burnout look and feel like to you? And when was this that you kind of hit the wall?
Such a good question. I can sit here for hours talking about it. So I'm a mother of two little boys. And the first time when I felt like something is wrong physically, I noticed that in my second pregnancy, and that was 2016. You count, yeah. But to go even further back, my background is that I'm a gymnast, so that I have been always pushing myself, like I need to do that. I am capable, like I'm using so much mind and going over the physical borders, what is possible. So I'm super used to that because I've been doing that from the age of 3 to maybe, I think my last competition in Germany was when I was 18. And I was for 6 years on Bundesliga niveau, so very high. That means 7 days a week training. We were not focusing on nutrition. So that means we are running down everything what our body's trying to keep in balance. So that's a little background. So with that mindset, I went into the normal life of after school going to work, and I implemented everything what I was used to during my gymnastic time, meaning I gave my best and all. I emptied my everything. And in every corporation I was working for, after 2 years, I always hit the wall. I was always feeling this burnout. Not that I know during that time that I was already going through symptoms of burnout, but physically I had like so many symptoms. Like my first job, after 2 years, I got high fever every I think Thursday. So I needed to go home. I was like, where's this fever coming from? There's no other symptoms. So after, in the beginning of my 20s, I looked into that and went into amazing, beautiful books where they are talking about the body is your the body listens and the body is telling you something. So I understood that. And with that already my spiritual capacity was already like lightened up. So I was really, really easy. It was easy for me to look into people's life by unknowingly during that time, check them. How is their posture and how is it going in mental blockages, etc. So that is really easy for me nowadays to see. During that time it wasn't, especially when it was about my time. I didn't really understood it. There was no connection there. So when I went to Sweden, I was working for a corporation. Like I was weak for 8 weeks because I had high inflammation in my arms. I wasn't able to use my hands for working on a computer. So I was sitting at home enjoying myself, kind of like feeling this shame and everything coming up. And it literally, I was then able to work with my fingers on a laptop. So like, okay, 2 weeks instead of 6 should be okay. So I went back to work, and 1 hour on the computer at work, I got sick again. So the spiritual mindset, the fear or what was out of alignment showed it directly in my body. And I believe that a lot of us are not listening. So a lot of us feel exactly the same, but we're not focusing on that. We are jumping over every symptom. So fast forward, pregnancy, I felt somehow a lot of anxiety. I wasn't able to sleep. I got very swollen everywhere, and I went down the circle of detoxing, like read a hell lot about it. And after, I don't know, I think my little one was a little bit over 1.5, and he got a virus. So that meant that he was just like having a little bit of a blocked nose. That never went away. So during 2 months later or so, we had sleepless nights where we've been sitting next to him, sleepless, trying to like, is he actually breathing still? Is he alive? Like, it was horrible. And we had to fight our way into getting an operation because no one took us serious. So that meant a lot of fear, a lot of pressure, myself not being healthy, not enough, not being supported enough. Like my parents or my family lives in Germany. I'm actually German, and my husband's family is also living further away. So we literally are just two people with a little older brother and a newborn during that time. And we've been exhausted already. I guess every mother or parent knows that. So at one point, I felt like my soul needs something else than parenting. So I went back to a job while I was just coming out from a doula job. I was supporting a 3-day journey of becoming a mother. So some people gave birth, and I was supporting that from sleepless to even more sleepless. So next day I had to start work. I'm like, oh, I'm not saying what's going on, but just keep pushing. So I'm so used to that. And I did that. And after 1 year of working for that corporation, so you hear it took so much work to actually build, like breaking myself, my mindset and my body physically down. It took even 1 more year, 4 years of being sleepless, and 1 full work time, 70% of work time here in Sweden. And I was still standing until I gave myself in September 2019 a little break. I wanted to go to Germany. I said, look, I don't really feel so good. My husband took the children to his family, and I got the first time in ages 2 days, 2 nights for myself. And on Monday, I wasn't able to get up anymore. I got a huge toothache, which I normally never had. That went wrong with like inflammation in the jaw. And on Wednesday, I was breaking down at work, crying my eyes off. And like, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know how to stop it. And on Friday, I get diagnosed already by, you're basically deep down the rabbit hole of a burnout. And I was like, okay, cool.
Permission granted.
Yeah, right? I was like, what does that even mean? So all of you who maybe understand the fear of, I don't feel good, I should, maybe take a few days off so I do not need to go to work, those especially of us who are working for a corporation, we feel fear, we feel shame, we feel like that's not allowed, we will lose money, we be looked at weird. And while these are the things you have to work daily in your mindset with, the biggest number one question coming up was, who will I be after this? Mm-hmm. Because that was like a super emotional question for me, because it was really, really clear to me that I will not be able to be doing exactly the same what I have been doing before, because it brought me to a breaking point. It brought me to the point that I wasn't able to eat, clear thinking, I wasn't able to drive a car, I wasn't able yet to take even a break and accept to sit down. Physically, I wasn't even able to walk up the stairs without complete exhaustion and breaking down in fever.
The body will just keep going until you give it a break. Like so many people get sick on vacation or Christmas comes. It's like the moment they like let their guard down. Is that what it is?
Yeah, completely. Because you're having a little break in your wheel of the mindset. You're literally allowing yourself like, okay, cool. Today I will put myself horizontal and just lay in bed, sleep long or watch TV the entire time and do not have the responsibility like we parents have every single day, till example. So yeah, it has definitely something to do with the body knows, directly acts, and directly shows you, man, woman, listen, we are not okay and you need to act on it now. Well, here in Sweden, we are fortunate, to be honest, to have been supported by the system, meaning we're having a doctor we are going to who talks to us, who's explaining the wheels. There are so many symptoms, not physically, but also mentally, like we are stopping to meet our friends because it's stressing us out, because we have such a long to-do list and we need to do that, or we are telling ourselves that our hobbies are not as important anymore because whatever reason. So we are only focusing on literally surviving and doing stuff in a habitual way that we do not even notice that it's a sick thinking. We're just surviving and doing and doing and doing. And to look at that on the wall when someone painted it there, I was like, I've never even thought about it. It's like, that's so true. So it was very clear. Again, it was like this aha moment where you just, okay, I can relax now because I am not pretending. That was one of the thoughts as well. Like, is that true what I'm actually feeling here? Or I'm not 100%. Like, is that even allowed? So I was supported also with a therapist who was very, very supportive and told me, it's very important to try to keep at least moving, go into the forest, connect with the nature, and try to do nothing. I was like, what do you mean nothing? I have 2 kids.
Nothing's relative, right?
Yeah. So it took me September until January or mid-February where I allowed myself to do nothing. Like literally saying, okay, I'm fine sitting on the couch and watching TV. And that was already way too much for my brain. I couldn't focus. But just allowing me that I do not have to leave the house to get food or whatever. But at the beginning, what happened right in September, I told my husband, you know what? I feel like I need to leave the house for a couple of days just to land in this new new living. I'm literally a pancake. I'm not really sure what I'm able to do. I needed 2 or 3 nights to not have responsibilities with the children, and he took over. Thank God. And I was sitting on the waterfront here in Malmö, and the first thought what was coming up was very spiritual, and I wasn't able to connect spiritually for years because I was so in parenting routines. So I was like, interesting. And it said to me, sisterhood. So directly during those 3 days, I went to meet women in a circle, connected with myself, started meditating, connected myself to oils, even the smell, everything what I was able to get as soon as possible to just ground me. And then I found Yin Yoga. Oh, yes. Yin Yoga, which is already hard for me just to not push myself again because of performing. But Yin Yoga was amazing. And I found my Yin Yoga teacher is also a spiritual coach. So I was like, I have to take this investment and invest it into this coaching, which was starting then in January to March 2020. So last year, it's only a year ago, which brought me to, I've been practicing spirituality already ways before my children got born. So which brought me back to reflecting on everything I was doing and realizing my mindset is pretty, fucked up. I was able actually to write down all those habitual things I was doing, like we mothers, we do 10 things at the same time, multitasking, etc., and really had to focus on not multitasking and had reminders everywhere, just do one thing at a time. Yeah, that helped me a lot. But mostly what I was doing, I was going back into meditation, talking to women, connecting with my heart, practicing spirituality. And most often I was just trying to be without pressuring myself. So that means correcting a whole 35 years of a mindset which wasn't serving me at all. So I needed to wipe that out and to refill it with something else. And always I'm daily, every minute what I'm doing, checking in with what am I feeling? Am I pushing, or is it joyful what I'm doing? Am I multitasking, or am I able to go back to myself? So I always explain that as a pendulum. While we are learning from the system, we have to do push and, to be successful or whatever, we always have to be in one extreme. I needed to first fall into the other extreme and do literally nothing. And it was the same with my mindset. It's me first. And that needed to change. With this new thinking, my relationship to my husband changed completely in the most beautiful way. The way I am living now is so much more truthful and aligned to I needed to be before, actually, because of not always pushing, still creating everything, being able to work with what I wanted and always knew I wanted to do, coaching. But coming from that one burning and wiping out my personality to someone else and being so much more happier within 1 year was obviously a lot of purging, a lot of shedding, a lot of crying. It was hard work, but it wasn't as hard as most of the people would maybe think. The number one mistake I always see with people when I'm talking to them, like, hey, you're burnt out, so what are you doing? The number one thought is, I need to go back to work. I need to do that. I need to do that. And only then I will be feeling better. when we listen, right? It is crazy because it means you're listening more to an inlearned habit. You're pushing yourself again to be doing, which in the first place brought you to that exhaustion. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very implemented deeply in most of us that we need to do in order to feel good. And where is that coming from? And where is that leading?
Yeah, I love that you had that insight with sisterhood. So was it easy for you to, in that moment, to figure out like where you would even find a women's group?
Yeah, I love you. It's interesting things that you asked that. Yes, because Malmö is very little, or Sweden is very little, to be honest. But when you are in Facebook on those little groups, you just have to ask one, and that person is like, so it's a messenger. So you're getting information. I have been in contact with women who I never met in my entire life, who threw themselves into like, maybe you can try this, or maybe you can try that. Just here, take an oil. It's helping with smells or joy or relaxing. Something very simple, but so deeply, it touched me so much because of, I didn't need it to pay. It was just like, this woman needs help. Let's help her. And then they're gone again out of my life. This is the most precious gift I think we women are giving each other nowadays. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I think like most people can relate to the fact, I mean, first of all, the one thing you said that, having a heart-to-heart or a coffee with a girlfriend just becomes like another thing to fit into your schedule, and therefore on some level stressful, even though like you might enjoy it while you're there. There's all this resistance to doing it more often. At the same time, post-pandemic, like we're most of us are clear that what's missing is face-to-face conversations with, not necessarily female to female, but, platonic relationships. And having said that, I've also connected like we have with so many incredible women online. And I feel like that is a wave of the future, that you can find this kind of community and connection virtually. And it's special in different ways than meeting in person.
Yeah, it is special. And it's surprising me all the time when both of us are working with social media. It is at one point like a very lonesome path, because we're working from wherever we want, mostly from home or something. So I'm not going anymore to a corporation where there is a team of 7 people or more, where you can talk to and exchange. And I love and I am that person who gives and takes energy in. And that makes me so happy to just, watch people even in a coffee shop or something. That makes me so happy. So not having that anymore, I'm just so amazingly grateful for the opportunity to meet people online. And I'm mostly right now calling them my colleagues, because we on social media, we have somehow the same path of how we begin and stuff. So it's special. It's really, really special also, this community online, but it's different.
Yes, it's definitely different. So how, first of all, I'm so happy, and I feel like it's more of a European thing, or maybe it's just Sweden, like that there's so much support within the medical model, if you will, and they're very aware of this problem. Like you were automatically passed to a therapist, and it doesn't sound like at any point they shamed you or made you feel like you did anything wrong, like it was more, no?
No. Well, I was working here for a huge company, very known, and went to the corporation's health center to see the doctor, and he was sexually assaulting me. So I had to, like, right at the beginning of my burnout, needed to like stand up for myself, had those awful meetings to change to somewhere else and to, like, was that true? Like all those other questions coming up, it's another stress.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, crazy. But I've been like amazingly supported by my colleagues and boss and everyone. This doctor work's still there, but who? Anyways, but I'm surrounded by people here in Sweden, and I'm meeting more and more of those who also are on the verge of burnout, or who are understanding that they're already in with both feet in their burnout. And it's not easy to actually be seen by the system. So I guess I had a lucky one. This first person who I went to said, like, your symptoms speak very much to be a burnout. But I have people who told me, like, no, that mostly called or seems like it's a depression. So you maybe get 2 weeks off and here you have some pills. While the person really clearly said, like, I don't think so. So we need to also be looking around for the right person, and that's not really easy here because the system is not really made for that either. So it is a question of being supported to come out as fast as possible. And I don't believe that here Sweden is a good. No, we need to learn so much more for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm so glad that you parsed that out a little bit, because I think there's definitely, I'm Canadian, and we have this idea that Europe as a whole is more modern, isn't the right word, more aware of sort of like mental health things and not so quick to prescribe medication. But it sounds like that's drastically changing. And I'm really glad that you had, the sovereignty to say, I want another opinion. Is that common, or is that you feel like you're sort of, not common?
It's not common. Just last week talked to a man who just recently got 2 or 3 weeks ago, be on sick leave, being allowed to be home for a few weeks. And he's working for another big company here in Sweden, and he found a therapist, and now his company wants to come in with another company so they save money, and so he has to change his therapist while he wants to have this therapist, but he has to change now. So there's a lot of things which doesn't really support the individual person. And when you are in a burnout, you have nothing left. You're not able to stand there in front of someone and have to fight for you. You really, really, really need someone who understands what the burnout means and can lift you through it and say, like, no, this is not happening. You find someone else, and I will maybe even follow with you. A bit harder now during the pandemic here in Sweden too, but to understand that this is not normal and this is not how it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be that you take yourself first, and yet your health is the most important. If other people who don't know you and will maybe meet you 5 minutes and are more interested in money think otherwise, that's not supporting you, and it's not supporting your health. It's not supporting the company really, because in 2 years you will be burned out again. So there's not a lot of awareness here in Sweden or in Germany, or I guess not either in Europe. I guess I can say our health system is definitely more connected, that when someone doesn't feel good and has a health problem which is more mental, we are able to be sent to different sorts of therapists. So yes, we have that ability, which is already amazing, but even that needs to be a fight. Oftentimes it's a lot of waiting times in Germany, especially. Here in Sweden it's a little bit less. But yeah, you need to be supported. And what I also think is very important to know is that if you have a partner or even your family and they never experienced overwhelm, like burnout, they only know what the real stress is. they do not understand your journey, because they will come and mean it in the most well way, but they will tell you, just take a nap. And just a nap, you will need 100 days of a nap to maybe come out. But your burnout doesn't need relaxations only. Your burnout needs a complete change of mindset. And only that will lighten your path in the future, and nothing else will. Because otherwise your habits are so implemented in you, you will go the same path as before because you're so used to, and will wonder why you come into the second and the third burnout even quicker.
That's such a good point. That it's something you really have to feel to completely understand, experience.
Yeah.
So are most of your clients corporate?
No. Most of my clients are just regular women who experience overwhelm, and some of them have been experienced burnout. So I'm mostly checking in with their energy and see that they have a lot of self-sabotaging beliefs, because we experience stress and we go into the path of where we are being able to burn out because we haven't learned boundaries. We haven't learned how to take care of ourselves and so much more. But quickly said, all of that is and will always lead to the same answer of like, where do you need to work on? It's self-love. Everything in life has to be with self-love and self-acceptance and self-consciousness. So what I'm teaching every woman I am meeting right now is to be very, very aware of where are you actually leaking your energy, meaning like where are you putting energy out, and never making and drawing a line and say like, wait a second, is it only giving, or who can give me? When am I receiving? What am I actively able to do to receive myself and be happy with that, and not always looking to the outside? So I'm building a foundation which is interconnecting to every little part of your life. If that's business, or if it's relationship, if it's self-care and self-love, it is your physical awareness of how do you feel. So literally everything, I believe.
Love it. And I don't know if you've read Burnout by the Nogatsky sisters. I highly recommend it. They touch a lot on, and another book that I recommend I'm currently reading called We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. And something she said in the book, it just kind of like, so in the Nogatsky book, they talk about how burnout really has multiple layers for women because we tend to be at least twice the load of stress. And in Rachel's book, she just breaks it down. I mean, the reality is that women, of course, this is a huge generalization. There's some amazing stay-at-home dads that like worry about all the things, but on average, even in a relatively egalitarian relationship, we, the women, are doing all of the mental work management, like we're the ones that notice what needs to be done. We're the ones that manage that problem. We're the ones that worry about all sorts of things that most men don't even notice, let alone think to worry about, right? So I'm not saying that they don't carry their own, stereotypically masculine load of being more responsible for like the security and the finances and all those things. And like, that's not even, that's a huge generalization in itself too, but they have their own stress, but it just tends to be multi-layers, in Canada and the US last year in particular, like the homeschooling plus the home, plus trying to work at home. And then just like the constant interruptions, like that is one of the most exhausting things. And it's like literally impossible to get deep work done when you're being interrupted. And the other thing that Rachel pointed out was the patriarchal guilt that we don't feel that we have a right to do something for ourselves, to like work without feeling guilty that we're not mothering, like that we're 24/7 literally supposed to be available to give attention to our children. And like, I feel like there's this, I've never actually even read it, but a book about French moms that like the reason that they're so happy is because they, tend to dedicate like an hour a day of 100% present time to their children. And I'm sure that's like a generalization stereotype in itself, but and my mom's always open to say like, my mom's 70 now, and she's 72, I'm 42, we're 30 years apart. She is always telling me like, I don't know how you do it. When I was a mother, nobody thought, I had zero expectation on needing to play with you. There was like the taking care, but this like super parent thing that's like somehow been created that we need to be the conscious parent, the everything, and 24/7 plus all the other things. So I know you can understand like on a visceral level as a mother yourself, but is it something I'm guessing you see with most clients too?
Yeah, there's a lot of women nowadays which are extremely fearful of how to take care of their children or let their children be taken care of by just grandparents even, or the institutions there are, etc. And while all of this is very valuable and needs to be looked at, it's completely unsafe to think that way, because we are coming just, like you said, just one generation ago, they've been like, you play, you go outside, and I call you when dinner is ready. And we're like, yeah, see ya. And we just did. And we've been loving it. We loved it a lot. I remember that. We've gotten so much responsibility. And nowadays we're going and look at our children like with fear a lot of times. And my goodness, how will they raise when you've been raised by fear? Well, next generation will be even more fearful. So also like great point of it's more women who are doing the mental load for the children, but also then we are more women who are left alone with, we are living house next to house, but no one is communicating anymore. No one is, especially in Sweden, makes me mad to my soul. Like, the kids are playing, but the parents are like, no, they might be okay, but we are not helping out each other. It's like, who else if not we? Like, I don't understand it. In Germany, we are like, as far as I see, my twin sister with her children, so much more freeing. Like, they can just call someone like, please, can you come over and help? This little but huge support. We don't know that in most of the countries anymore. And I believe there's a huge system behind it, but that's a huge other topic. But it leads to fear, it leads to stress, it leads to overwhelm, because this is live. If you're not being able to grasp on a level, where is this coming from? We are only living and repeating every day in fear, like every single day. And living in fear obviously means we are thinking the tiger is just trying to catch us and kill us and our family. And that is bringing us into sickness, mentally, physically, and unhappiness. And we are trying to present ourselves to others like, no, all is good because I'm alive, I guess. I have a job, or I have 2 kids. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree about the reality that it should take a village to raise a child. And I love that you call out there's fear there. It's this distrust increasingly. Like, I live in Mexico where it's even more insane for other reasons. And so sometimes I'm not exactly sure to what degree I would be parenting the same in Canada, but I do know that my girlfriends with kids about the same age are not just letting them go on their bikes to the park two blocks away. Like there's way more fear than there was in my generation. It's maybe not quite as drastic as it here in Mexico, but yeah. And I don't know if you've read, what's his name? I think I'm so bad with names. Johan Hari's book, Disconnection. He talks a lot about how stress and addiction worldwide is due to this fact that, you know, even in an apartment complex in the middle of London, like very few neighbors are supporting each other. There's just this like total disconnection and fear with our neighbors, or, you know, yeah, I think it's increasingly becoming evident how important community is.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful how you say it. Yes. Especially during the times we are living right now, it is getting clearer and clearer that we need to find our people, because we are living every single day by like, I'm not sure what tomorrow will bring, and if I have my job still, or if I have the money still for this and this. And I guess that is worldwide, maybe not in such a big degree feelable yet. But yes, there's a lot of things we need to, or we could support each other. And that is, you know, even if it's in this community on social media where you create a space of talking honestly about your fears or your pains or your stress, etc. So I love and hate social media, to be honest, but that bringing connection and that sort of like knowledge of mothers, where are you, how can we support each other, or where's the next group here in Malmö or even in Canada, where can we support each other, whom can I ring, because we all have bad days, we all pretend that we don't. So we need to be more honest with ourselves, but even more honest to the outside eye. Only then I guess we are able to connect more with each other.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it speaks again to fear. Like, I think we're afraid to admit that we're not okay. We're afraid to be judged for how we're feeling or how we're quote unquote performing as a mother. And then that's what it's come down to. It's a performance that's not sustainable.
Yeah. And absolutely, performance is the right word of, you know, this is why people who literally are unable to think, see, or even walk, they would just rather go back to their work after 6 weeks of like, okay, I had my break, I guess, because of the shame they have inside of them. While in the first place, they should be looking at like, you know, the system is never important. They maybe have paid your bills. That is very true. But if you're living 6 feet under at one point, very soon, your company doesn't bother, like not a single second. They will put someone else in that position, and yeah, you're not as important to the system. You're important for your family. You're important, most important for yourself. So if you're not seeing that, but rather would go back to a job, we have some work today. Literally, you have to get a coach, get a therapist, get someone who you really trust, but change that thinking.
Yeah. I'm curious, in Sweden, do you feel like, is there like a mommy wine culture? Is alcohol a factor in sort of helping them decompress, is the narrative, and then really it's just setting them further back? Or is it just a do overwork?
I honestly don't know. I haven't really been in the Swedish culture because it's very hard to go in as someone who comes to the country and wants to live here. They are very closed out, to be honest. Like, yeah, hi, how you doing? But thank you. Mm-hmm. What they do is, you know, we have in Sweden something so amazing. Scandinavia is amazing when it's about becoming a mom or a father is that you have parental leave quite long, like 1 full year or even longer. So what they have here in Sweden is that they have, mothers groups where they go for a walk with a stroller even, or have meetup groups with like-minded people and have the children play. So that has been here, and I've been going to them with the first little baby. That was 2014. But I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure there might be something with alcohol, but alcohol in Sweden is very expensive. A lot of taxes on it. What is pretty common here is that more and more the mothers want to go back to work, meaning we have another fantastic support. It's good and bad, love and hate relationship again, that you can send your children, I think, when they are 6 months old or even younger, I'm not sure, you can send them to kindergartens. Otherwise, you're staying home until all your parental leave days are over, and then you send them with 1.5 years or something to the kindergarten. So that's actually fantastic. But a kindergarten will never, ever be a safe space for your child, for your baby. Literally 1.5 years is super, super tiny, I believe. So you need, again, the support from the village, from your parents, from friends or whoever. And nowadays we don't have that. So we send ourselves, mothers, we go back to work, working, maybe most of them even go directly back to 100%, otherwise 50 or 70%. And then the children are up to 8 or 9 hours in kindergarten. I'm sure it's the same in Canada, or especially the US, I believe. But I think that's already insane, because this leads us to become fearful parents, to become empty souls, because we know that something wasn't filled there. We weren't seen, we weren't heard, because there's a kindergarten teacher who needs to hear our needs, but isn't, taught for that, isn't aware of that, and they will never be our parents or closest family. They don't need to understand you as a baby, and that all obviously leads us to broken grown-ups.
Yeah, it's similar in the sense that the amount of hours, but what's dissimilar is that's not as supported in the US, I believe not at all. In Canada, to a percentage, to the point that most women, if they have multiple kids and they're paying multiple, they really need to be making like a good wage for it even to make sense to go back to work. And so that's the decision, like, do I want, but yeah, I think 6 months is pretty early to be in daycare. So can you share with us, before we go, maybe 1 or 2 tools that you like to use with your clients to help them shift out of this do mindset that we all grew up embodying?
Yeah, like I said before, like, thanks for saying that or giving me the chance. The first thing I think is being aware, and that means like really watching your actions every single minute. We can feel into our body. Is it our heart rate, or are we not able to think straight? Are we like, oh my goodness, I have to do multitasking comes up? Then you're out of alignment, and you need to break down that habit by sitting back down and say, okay, what do I have to do? Nurture myself, nurture my needs, because you're filling a void, and therefore you want to just do and do. I always tell every client to write a list of at least 25 items on it, where you have easy things to do, like drinking a coffee or drinking a tea, what you really connect with, like, that's cozy. That's with, I would love to sit down, sit back and just like stare outside. So instead of always running away, come back to a stillness. And we're not used to this. We need to have a list as a reminder of, okay, at least once an hour, I need to do one of those things, which means connecting to myself, connecting and asking myself, how do I actually feel? Because the more you're aware of how you really feel, the more you actually will realize how out of alignment you're working on a daily basis, how exhausted you are latest at 11 a.m. because you haven't made one single pee break or snack break. You've been just not even listening to your body's simple needs of food, eat, sleep, and water, drinking. So sleep more, rest more, do the right nutrition. I'm not an expert, that's your part for sure. But the right nutrition for you individual, so that you're having energy and not breaking down. And in my case, I don't feel hunger. I really need to still it's been already 6 hours and I haven't eaten a snack. I should make a lunch. So it's really, really important to find times, to find reminders for yourself on a daily basis, to go into nature, to be aware, to slow down, to not do everything what the system wants us to do. Just really basically and focus on yourself.
Yeah, I love how you describe that as coming back to stillness. I think that's a big piece for people. I know it really resonated when you said about only doing one thing at a time, because I find, for example, I love to listen to podcasts and I love to listen to audiobooks, but sometimes I'll be about to cook a meal and I'll realize no, I just need quiet right now. I just need to only do this and not 6 other things at the same time. Or driving. Maybe I'm getting old, but now sometimes it's relaxing to listen to something. Other times it's no, we're just driving. We're just driving and answering questions of 2 children, that's enough.
Enough. Fully. Yeah. When I'm till example right now, looking at you as a person, I see, and this is also a basic thing everyone can do, not only someone with a psychic ability, is check into your body. How is it your jaw is feeling? Is it already I'm already tight and stressed? Are you all the time I have to do this? So in this little
the brows, the wrinkles.
The wrinkles,
I think all of us feel it in the neck and the shoulders, right?
The neck is something you feel, basically also the lower back, something most of the people feel. And yeah, we need to come back to simplicity. And what does that mean? Focus on yourself, focus on nutrition, and focus on movement and sleep. If you're doing all of those 4 things, it's literally not enough. Your mind will slowly slow down. And if you then work with your mindset, you will never go back to the old, because you have gotten this awareness, and you will love yourself for that, because you have so much more self-respect. So we'll always come back to self-respect, self-love, and create a new life after a burnout. It is completely possible. I'm not stronger than anyone else.
Where can people find you? What's the best way to get in touch?
I am currently on I am in Soul Flow on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, we'll share what we can in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your experience so openly, and for all of the beautiful tips. I love how you spun it all into a nice little ball.
Thank you so much for having me, Megan. So cool to be here.
Thank you so much for listening to Energetically You. I hope that this episode has helped you to tune into your natural energy sources so that you feel more energized and focused throughout your day. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help more ambitious women just like you accomplish their goals. Don't forget to take a screenshot, share it on social or in your Instagram stories, and tag me at Megan Swan Wellness. See you soon.